Hello there and welcome to this video explainer on the National Arts Fundraising School's Onsite programme. My name is Dana Segal. I'm the Deputy Director of the school. I've got my colleague Bernard here, who is the Director of the school. And today we're going to talk to you about what it is that you can learn and gain by joining on our Onsite programme. So Bernard, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, nice to be here with you virtually, nice to be with you virtually, Dana. Looking forward very much to being on site with you in a few months. So I'm the school director, bringing, I hope, a bit of specialism, some of which I share with Dana, especially about strategy. And I think the thing we're going to talk about, Dana, over these few minutes is the importance of developing a strategy. Also very interested in high net worth, that fast growing area of income, people who can give you tens of thousands of pounds, perhaps hundreds of thousands of pounds, individuals, to make your work more sustainable. And again, a passion and interest we share, I think, is about decision science, looking at the psychology of how people decide. So that's what I bring to the party. Let's hear a wee bit about you.
Sure. So I've been working as a cultural fundraiser for the last 10 years. I actually started my career by attending the National Arts Fundraising School many moons ago. So I'm really passionate about it. And it's very much the basis of all of the funds that I've raised over the last 10 years, which is knocking on the best part of about £20 million now.
Wow.
And yeah, I know it's been a lot of money for cultural causes in lots of different ways. I have, worked in quite small organizations, running kind of fundraising teams on my own through to quite large teams as well in more nationally significant institutions. And at the moment, obviously working with Bernard to train up the next generation of cultural fundraisers through the fundraising school.
Yeah,
I'm also, go ahead. No, I was going to say I'm also like a volunteer chair. I run the Chartered Institute of Fundraising's Cultural Sector Network, as well as a trustee at Emergency Exit Arts, which is an outdoor arts organisation. So lots of my volunteer involvement is in the arts, as well as professional kind of fundraising involvement as well.
Great. No, it's a very impressive CV. I just said that I think we've both worked on the strategy, for example, for the South Bank Centre, which is the largest, I think, cultural organisation in Europe. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm probably more passionate about museums than you are. Is that fair? I'm more of a museum.
I think that's fair. But we also
right.
have both done loads with, for example, local authorities, developing their cultural programs. Bernard, you've done a fair few kind of city of culture or place-based cultural initiatives. A lot of my background is in performing arts, visual arts. So really, and amongst just between us, but also with the wider team, you've got such a range of expertise across the cultural sector that if you do it, there's probably someone on the team who's raised funds for it.
Yeah, that's really important. Good. Okay. A little bit about some of the sums behind what we do. Maybe I'll share that then. So big thing to say is that we've been going for like almost 35 years now. We generally do the program 4 times a year. I think between virtual and on-site programs. This year we've updated quite a lot of the modules, especially thinking about more about online. I think there are a total of 26 different modules. That's so for us, a module is looking at high net worth individuals, looking at the importance of storytelling in terms of case for support, looking at online and digital. I mean, we're going to come to a bit later on about that. Essentially, it's a 7-day program, 6 days on site, and then some days off site as well online. Raised in excess of 400 million people who've been on the program. That's quite an impressive sum of money. And the big thing that we still, I think, is unique for us, Dana, is I think the idea that we give you a 12-month money back guarantee.
Absolutely.
If you attend the program. So I don't know anyone else who does that, but there's some of the kind of key facts and figures that might impress you. 4 things we will cover. Again, maybe I'll mention those. So 4 questions we want to answer, which might be important for you in the kind of 25 minutes we're going to be doing this session. One is, what's different about the National Arts Fundraising School? How's it different from other kind of programs? Who comes on the school? So is it for you? If you're listening to this in Portugal, would it be relevant to you? If you're listening to it in Scotland, if you're listening to it and you're a local authority officer, is it relevant for you? What do we do to make sure you get the most from our investment, our commitment to you? And then lastly, I think interestingly, how's the school organised? What kind of learning do you get? You know, is it suitable for inexperienced people, experienced people? Those are the kind of questions I want to answer. I think you're going to tackle the first one.
I am. So that first question about, well, what's different about what we do compared to other training or support that you might be able to access from the cultural sector? So I think there's 5 things. We believe that there's 5 things that you will get on this course that you won't get anywhere else. So the first of those 5 things is that strategic approach. So the way that we design the school is that every session is designed to stay with you long after it. So we use a mixture of presentations, of group exercises, activities, do coaching, we have case studies, you do different bits of reading and reflecting. And actually it's that range of approaches that is really different to other programs, some of which might be a bit off the shelf, some of which might only be a half day's worth of training that gives you that initial insight and knowledge. But what we do through this strategic approach is that it's not just about knowledge, but it's about skills development. And it's about a great place to practice those skills before you start applying them in your organization.
Absolutely.
And the second thing that we think is really important is the blend of our leadership team. So we've told you a little bit about ourselves. We have an amazing team of Steph Graham, Jules Bellingham, Rob Shaw, and a couple of other new faces as well that you might see, all of whom are actively, continuously raising funds across arts, cultural and heritage-based organisations. So we are doing the work as well as teaching the work. And between us, we've raised sums from, 5,000 to, I think, Bernard, you've worked on $1 billion plus programs.
Yeah, I've actually, slight moment to blush. So I've worked on the biggest fundraising program in the world, which is for the International Red Cross and Red Crescent, which is a $50 billion a year. So that's what, about 40 million. Well, and as we look out in the world, I mean, that's the kind of money that's needed to tackle those big issues. So there's no sum of money that's too big for us to consider helping you with. Absolutely. But you're absolutely right. Fantastic team, who just bring a lot of experience.
And the third thing that we think is different about this school, again, I said a little bit earlier, you might have those kind of half-day knowledge, here's the information you need, but we have a very practical approach to what we do. This is very much a how-to, and we'll show you the models and approaches that are relevant, how to use them to overcome challenges and build on opportunities, and actually building your strategy and your action plan for when you leave as you go along the week with us in that residential. So as well as that, we also bring a lot of information and ideas from other mainstream charities that we've worked with, as well as the work that we've done with City of Culture initiatives, local authorities. So all of the how we've done it is brought to this course as well, to make sure that you really understand the hows of making fundraising work for you and your organization.
I think we had a really nice piece of feedback on a couple of courses ago with one individual who said, I'd never actually asked anyone for money before live in a room. And she asked for Edinburgh, for a project in Edinburgh. I'm trying to be discreet here. And someone said, yeah, that sounds great. And offered her £40,000, which is a fantastic result on a first time ask. So giving you the skills to do that is an important part of it.
Absolutely. And the fourth element that's different that you won't get anywhere else is that extended support beyond that week together. So, we will spend 6 intensive days together in that residential program. But beyond that, you have 180 days worth of support to help you consolidate your learning. And I'll come on to point 5, because actually the support really does extend beyond those 180 days. Another key element as well of the course is that there is a really, really comprehensive workbook and a range of online resources that we give you as well, all of which, again, give you more access. And on the residential, you have access to our amazing and extensive fundraising reference library. So for those of you that want to squirrel away with something to read of an evening, you have an amazing range of books to access over the 6 days as well that we can give you as well. So lots of things that are wrapped both within the 6 days together, but also in that time beyond. And in that time beyond, you will also access ongoing development with us. So we invite all of our alumni to regular events and seminars throughout the year. Those events take place online, but hopefully also in person too. And that's a really, really great way for you to connect with other people who are both on the residential that you've been on, but also people who, we have alumni who stay in touch with us and who did the course 20 years ago who still come to our events for those regular updates and kind of connecting with new people. So it really is a kind of long-term commitment once you become part of the National Arts Fundraising School family, in a really good way.
Yeah, in a good way. In the kind of family, not an anarchy or in a family you want.
No, exactly.
Okay. End of obscure literary illusions. Okay, and we're going to talk about the guarantee a bit later on.
Absolutely. So I think, Bernard, you're going to talk to us a little bit about exactly who comes on the National Arts Fundraising School and what are the sort of things that they get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got some photographs of people. So this is, you know, kind of regular people, some older people, some younger people, some tall people, some not so tall people. You're in a lot of these pictures, Dana, seemingly.
I am in a lot of these pictures.
You're in the middle of that one on the left side. But just to look at those and say, you know, can I imagine myself in that group there? And I think the people on the left-hand side may be having a slightly more fun time. But as you can see, we're in a beautiful setting. We're going to talk about that a little later on, where, you know, you're not just in a room for 6 days. You can actually go out and do some work outside in some really nice bits of greenery around, but even space for walks if you just need to clear your head. But I think we're committed to saying that people come also internationally. We try and be internationalist in our perspective and bring learning in. But aside from that, people from different backgrounds, different contexts. So people from circus, theatre. Important to mention local authorities and even some trusts associated, friends trusts associated with local authorities. I think, Dana, it's true that they are still a major supporter of cultural life in this country, and they're struggling financially in order to pass on money to the agencies they support. Thing I've noticed we haven't mentioned here, I think we've seen an increasing number of individuals, especially producers, independent producers coming. I think that's important. You know, people who are working to enable they don't necessarily work in an organisation, but they have create like projects, and I think we're keen to support them. I think we've got 2 or 3 of them coming in the current programme. So,
absolutely,
an amazing mix of people, and also museums, one of my favourite things, and museums, archives. I've got a lot of fun out of helping some archives raise money recently, and libraries, all part of a rich cultural kind of diversity. People from all over the world. Some of the countries we've had from Canada, France, Greece, and this beautiful quote from Dasha, whom we're still in touch with, I think, in Russia, just about talking. She went back, having practiced doing a pitch, and made a pitch for £1.5 million to a senior individual with money in Russia for her sculpture gallery. So we love to get that kind of feedback, and that's kind of feedback we'd love to get from anyone who comes on the programme.
Absolutely. And it's really, the residential is a great opportunity to kind of be in a space with your peers, whether that's nationally or internationally as well, to kind of do that shared learning, and we love having people come over.
Yeah, we're so looking forward to that, to being back together in as I'm sure many of you are, whether you run a museum or a library or an orchestra, just being back in a room, because there's just a different dynamic happens from the online programme.
Definitely.
A couple of people that have been on the programme. So Ahmed came on the programme. He works actually in the Stage, which is a kind of commercial it is a commercial organisation, but is running a programme for them, bringing young people into careers in theatre, supported by the Andrew Lloyd Webber Foundation. We've worked with them to help make that organisation more sustainable, making sure that there's space for young people again. I think you know Ruth, don't you?
I do.
Ruth, and what she does.
Absolutely. So Ruth is the CEO of the Shakespeare Schools Foundation, now part of the Quorum charity family. So again, an interesting part of what she did beyond the course was actually joining into the Quorum family to make their fundraising and charitable stuff even more effective. But Ruth, you know, came as a CEO, as somebody who had to manage a group or a number of fundraisers in her team, wanting those essential skills to go, okay, how can I actually learn about cultural fundraising in a way that will enable me to get the best out of my teams and have that understanding, as well as managing that relationship between my fundraising teams and my board and making sure that that's all working really effectively. So, you know, we get a lot of CEOs and artistic directors of organizations who want that strategic oversight as well when they are coming to manage fundraisers or fundraising teams too.
Yeah, and Ahmed, absolutely at the other end, brand new to fundraising, so wanted to hit the ground running by learning all about it. So interesting that people at the start of their career or people in very senior positions.
Absolutely.
There's tons of quotes on the website, which are nice. I love Sarah Shooter. I'm a big fan of her in Wakefield. She's a little fundraising engine. Amazing.
She really is.
And 9 of our 13 applications, and Grant Mason up in Scotland, in Paisley, helping to raise money for a big theatre production. So I think you see lots of those kind of quotes all over. Let's not spend ages going through them, but I mean, I think we rely entirely on the idea that the program is based around success. It's not just a great learning experience, it also produces results as the key thing.
Absolutely.
Back to you, Dana.
So we want to make sure that you get the most out of your investment. We recognize that this course is an investment and we want to make sure that we meet your needs. So how do we make sure that we do that? We actually have a structure to that program that ensures that we can meet your needs throughout. So it starts here at this discovery webinar where you have the opportunity to just really understand is this the right thing for me? Because it is a big commitment and we want to make sure that you know what you're signing up for and also ready and in a position to take on that commitment. Chance to ask any questions, etc., and make sure that it's all good. We then take you through the process that once you've signed up for the course, you will take part in quite a detailed online questionnaire. And the reason for that is because we really want to understand your specific needs. Do you have a major campaign coming up that you're looking at? Are there specific targets or challenges that are coming up that you need to address, that you need to learn for? And then within that, we will have a kind of onboarding, coaching, or a bit of a webinar for you as well. We then take all of the learnings from each of you and tweak, customize, and adapt the program for that specific delegate group. So if lots of people want to know more about crowdfunding, we'll make sure that that's represented in the program. And of course, there's lots of core modules that we will cover with every team, but we do create those little adaptations depending on the different specific groups that come together as well.
I think that's quite an important thing, just to emphasize that, that people, we publish a program and say, well, this is a model program, but we do, because every group is slightly different, we do work hard to try and make sure that we accommodate the differences and the different needs and different interests.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we've got that residential program, 6 days in the beautiful countryside together. It's a really, really special thing and a very, very intensive residential. That's why we say it is so. But that gives you all of those aspects of fundraising. We'll talk about the program in a bit more detail in a moment. Then with that follow-up support, those 6 months where you can absolutely drop us an email and say, can I have a moment to chat to you about this particular application that I'm putting in, or I've just redrafting our website copy for our supporters page. Can you have a look at that? Do you think it meets what we were talking about in the course? All of that sort of support is there for you to access for 6 months. And then, of course, staying in touch and meeting other alumni through the ongoing alumni meetups, updates, events, and, of course, through all of our different social media groups. We have a kind of private Facebook group for chats where people post job posts, ask for advice. All that sort of good stuff is still accessible to you well after the course.
It's part of that family thing carrying on. And interestingly, I've actually been in touch with Ahmed in the last week. And I'm talking to some of Ruth's colleagues in Shakespeare Schools Foundation about helping them with their big give campaign. So we are really keen to keep in touch. It is not just a one-time thing. Should we talk a wee bit more about that structuring issue? And I think when we talk about how many modules there are, there's a lot. There's a lot. Guys, do you want to just pick out there's a lot. That's all I can say. You've got a couple of favorites here, I think, that you especially enjoy teaching and training. Do you want to spot some of those or mention some of those, Dana?
Absolutely. So I love doing the training around trust and foundations, foundation fundraising. Lots of you have probably done a little bit of bid writing in the past. looking for ways to make that even better. And I think that's one of those sessions where people go away and always go, oh, I just feel like my knowledge is so much better now, and I have such a better toolkit and framework to tackling these grant bids. So I absolutely love that one. And I also really enjoy, to be honest, and this kind of goes throughout all of them, is all the stewardship work, the significance and the importance of thanking the people who support what we do and finding creative and brilliant ways of doing that, because we know that that is one of the most important things to developing a properly sustainable long-term fundraising as well.
Yeah, that's so important. And people sometimes forget that until they come in the program, and then they remember how important of keeping in touch. I think if I really like doing the work on raising money for local authorities, because I just think they are such an important part of the, an unrecognised or undervalued part of the of the cultural infrastructure. So I love doing work with them, and I'm going to say maximising major donors, because I just think there's a recognition in this country that there are many more wealthy people in this country. That's not always good from a social equity point of view, but there are many more people who are wealthy, who want to support arts and cultural activity, who recognise it's important, and not just big prestigious stuff like the RSC or South Bank. People who value where they live. That I think people come more aware of the importance of where they live. So helping with that, and we both share a passion for decision science. This emerging body of learning that we know now informs much more. What's the real science behind fundraising? That's the thing I love about it. A little bit about the structure of the program. This kind of summarizes a wee bit of what you talked about before, Dana, but essentially before you come on the program, you get one-to-one preschool coaching. I think you were making a call there just before we came on this webinar, like making sure that, finding out any special needs people have in terms of access or in terms of specific areas you want to fill in. So we don't just do the questionnaire, you actually get, an individual point to talk to a coach, and you get allocated. I think one of the tutors will be your personal coach for the period of the program. We do before you come, you get an onboarding webinar, which kind of brings everyone up to the same level in terms of an understanding about strategy and some key ideas before you come on the residential. So every arrives in the residential, kind of knowing everyone else, because we do the onboarding also involves other people. So you get, you know who else is there. You don't walk into a room and go, oh my God, I don't know anyone here. We're going to talk a bit more about the detail of the 6 days. And then after you leave, one-to-one post-school coaching. Okay, what did you learn? What are you implementing? What are the key areas? How else can we help you? And we also do a next steps webinar, which is kind of about putting your strategy into place. It's a pretty, as you said earlier, pretty thorough process.
Definitely.
You want to talk us through a bit about the time? And again, as we said earlier, this is a kind of typical timetable rather than the exact one.
But as you can see, we do work you quite hard. We come on Sunday and we do start the program on that Sunday after a nice cup of tea and a little bit of getting to know each other. You'll notice as well that there's a little bit of a structure where there's some evening work in teams. There might be some interesting case studies or activities that we set you over the time that you need that little bit more time. But of course, within lots of that are regular breaks, lunch breaks, etc. But as you can see, that's very much, it is very intensive here. But we make sure that you're kind of well looked after, that you're fed, watered, have the rest that you need in between as well, to make sure that all of what we're covering does go in a good way. So you can see a mix there of presented sessions, of group work, case studies, just all the different types, bit of research, a bit of personal reflection time, lots of practice. You get to do practice asking, a little bit of video coaching, action planning. So, all the different ways of learning are embedded there to meet all of the different topics that we cover as well.
Yeah, so that's so important. A range of topics and a range of ways of learning to meet different kind of learning needs. Yeah. And networking, of course, let's not forget the idea that you're going to make some friendships and some relationships here, which will be important, hopefully, for the next 3-4 years in your life.
Absolutely.
We should maybe mention also, some people might be thinking about, oh, okay, that sounds interesting, but I'm still interested in the online program. And I think we've got a slide about that. There is a whole separate, it's worth saying, there's a whole separate webinar you can look at, which goes in more detail through this, but that's kind of the basic structure of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 of the program. I think we're not going to spend a long time on that, but again, you know, it's very carefully constructed so that there's a whole mix of different issues that you're tackling and different ways of learning, including again a live solicitation in that as well as on the on-site program. Oh, and personal check-in. We make sure that, you know, someone checks in with you both in the online program and in the on-site program to make sure, you know, how is this going? Are you up to speed? How are you doing? I put together a little montage. It makes it sound very serious, and I think there's a picture in the top left there of some people not being entirely serious. It's nice if the weather's nice, you can go out and have a, you know, you can even have the tea breaks out in the gardens. I think there's a little photograph on the right there of you and Jules, one of our fantastic colleagues.
Yes.
Actually watching somebody making a pitch and then giving them, Jules taking very detailed note to give some really serious feedback. We've got presentations, obviously, as part of it. There's Jules talking one-to-one to somebody on the one of the pictures off to the left. And I think you know Kathy quite well.
Absolutely.
That's her making a presentation. And since she attended the course, she's gone on to become very grand, I think, now.
Absolutely. She's Chief Executive of Creative Criff up in Scotland. So she's developing and creating pretty much a brand new arts centre from scratch, including a radio broadcast studio. It's really quite amazing. And she's just got onto the Global Leaders Programme, which is a programme for people working in music education. And again, it's interesting because she was saying a lot of the pitching for that and doing that work, all the foundations were kind of there from the fundraising school. So yeah, she's doing amazing. And she came sort of working in another job that she wanted to really develop those leadership skills as well as those fundraising skills too.
I think within 18 months, she's a CEO. I'm impressed.
Absolutely.
And we can't promise that to everyone. It's worth saying we can't promise that everyone. And on the bottom right, there's the chance to sit and chat to colleagues as you go through a case study or an example. Anyway, good, nice to see some pictures of people just doing good jobs. You talked to me about the manual earlier, maybe because I've just finished rewriting that. Oh my God, that took me a week to do. But we've really updated it. But essentially, you don't need to take any notes because all the modules are there in note form. I mean, in a different format so that you can, you know, catch up on them. There's additional material on implementation of different techniques, some planning frameworks, follow-up contacts, and a development plan to keep track with your own learning. So that's a big, you get it physically because we think you get it virtually, but also we think it's important that you actually have, you know, a manual. I still like things that you can write on or propose or, you know, underline and stuff like that. It's so important. So you absolutely get one of those bundled in a brand new format. All right, who's more able to talk about party night, you or me? I think probably you.
So of course we think it's really, really important that, especially after a big case study and group exercise, that you get the opportunity to relax, have a little bit of fun, and get to know each other in that more social way as well. So we do have a party night on Thursday. Generally tends to be good fun, sometimes a bit of karaoke, sometimes a bit of fun games, and lots of conversations and dancing and good times, really. So yeah, for those of you who are interested in doing
quite as glamorous as this. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, okay. Or certainly if you have to be as glamorous as this, I may not turn up. I may just sit in my room. But anyway, but it's meant to be a social kind of celebrate. Let's work hard and then let's have some fun as well.
Exactly.
You've talked already about, you know, after you finish the program, you know, there's a formal commitment to give you 100 days of follow-up support, which is online by and large. You know, Zoom calls saying. I'm wondering whether this proposal works. Could you have a quick look at it? I mean, all of this is within reason. I mean, we're not offering to, you know, be there for you 24/7 a day, but we are happy to help you, look at proposals, think about how to handle tricky situations, maybe with a donor. Should I accept that gift or not accept that gift? What's, you know, the follow-up, and also, you know, if you want to maybe you're doing an important presentation to your board to ask for more resources, happy to help with that. That's a very common bit of follow-up.
Absolutely.
And I think you've talked a wee bit about this before, Dana, but you want to just highlight some of the things that we help with in terms of ongoing development again?
Yeah, gladly. So there's different ways that you can stay in touch and get access to the latest updates and information. So we have private Facebook group where, as I said, lots of people tend to share things like job ads or ask questions or connect with other alumni on specific things. We then have some regular meetups and additional training opportunities. So most of the times at an event, we will have a little training moment with a little bit of booster information on some latest interesting science or loads of different things like that. So regular meetups and training opportunities, and we're generally doing those, I would say, both online and in person, hopefully from now on as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then blogs, downloads, advice notes, funding heads up. We often use that community, that online community, or our mailing list to say, look, here's some advanced information about something, or here's some interesting blogs for you to read, just to kind of keep that ticking along, because we appreciate that lots of you are very busy and you want to come on the course and you want to do that 6-day intensive so you can take that time away and get stuff done. But then we just want to try and find the different ways to support you as you go along to get the latest information as well. So these are the different ways that we can support you with that ongoing development as well.
Yeah, great. We're really committed to that. And the awards, again, are you going to talk about those, Dana? I think that might be
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. So we also run an annual awards ceremony called the MC's Awards. This is an open call to cultural fundraisers everywhere about celebrating some brilliant cultural fundraising that's happening across the UK. So there might be awards like Best Campaign over £100,000 or Best Donor Stewardship or Best Corporate Partnership. But we also every year have a special NAFS Alumni Award, which is now called the Emma Goad Award in honour of our wonderful colleague Emma Goad. And that is a really lovely chance for you to kind of celebrate your achievement as a National Arts Fundraising School alumni as well. And we love to celebrate you and your achievements as well. So that's one way that we do that, really.
And a great way, I think, as I look at some of the faces there, some of those people there are sponsors. So it's a great opportunity if you've got sponsors, commercial sponsors or donors.
Yes.
Or a foundation that you want to invite them along to make them feel nice about the fact they supported you and give them a little love as well. That's part of the stewardship piece. So that's kind of fun, get dressed up night, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. We keep coming back to this idea of a money back guarantee. That's a very serious commitment by us to say we are so determined to make sure that you have peace of mind, or your board has peace of mind, or your boss has peace of mind that we're offering a money back guarantee. You just have to write and let us know that you didn't manage to raise the money that was equivalent to the cost of the course, and we will just refund that. That's a no quibble guarantee. We're very happy to do it. But of course, our real goal is to make sure we give you enough support, make sure that you do not just achieve the results you wanted to achieve, but actually to go beyond that. I think we're coming to the end of this session now. So, or the end of the seminar. So people can get in touch with us by email. Dana, I think is probably the easiest way.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the easiest and quickest way we tend to respond. So yeah, any questions that you've got, please just do let us know. We're always happy to answer them as well. Some of you may have already been in touch with Sophie, our lovely supportive administrator on the course as well. And again, she's always available by phone to answer any more of the technical, practical questions, sometimes about booking and registration. And then obviously we're available for those other questions that you might have about content, structure, or whether that feels relevant to you and your organisation. So looking forward to hearing from you and hopefully seeing you.
So please, yeah. And also, we did a little sum the other day which said that the cost of coming on the course, which is a lot, I mean, it's expensive, but it's actually the equivalent, I think, of a coffee and a cake a day for a year, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the coffee's good. The cake is bad for you. Let's the cake is fundamentally bad for you. So if it's a choice between that or investing in the school, I'm going to say long term invest for the school, and then maybe have cake one day a year. That's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Dan, it's been a pleasure doing the session with you, and looking forward to joining you and colleagues, and hopefully, if you've watched this webinar, joining you on the program. Just one last hint, which is that if you're not sure about coming in the program, the best thing to do is to go onto the site and make a provisional booking, because what happens with the provisional booking is you're then in the queue, and Sophie will call you up and say, hang on a minute, we're filling up. Do you want to convert to a to a confirmed place. If you want a confirmed place, that's very straightforward. But don't miss out on the chance to be part of the National Arts Fundraising School. We'd be more close to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.